Dad Mod's Media Machine presents the Brews with the Dudes podcast.
They're looking at us. They're watching us for our looks. Man, I butchered that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're just driving the nail home.
Yeah, further proving that I'm the eye candy and you're the funnies.
It's not like that. wait, did you just accidentally call me fugly?
Funny.
No, I know. Did you mean like in a roundabout way? Did you just call me fugly? You're like, you have a great personality.
Yeah, you have a face for radio. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Brews with the Dudes podcast. I am Jake Lindquist.
I'm Donnie Allen.
And it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So thank you for your patience.
We've had some COVID scares and some other sicknesses and just all the shit going on.
It's been ridiculous. It has been, we've had pretty much like 2 months of dodging sick kids, us having COVID run-ins.
Yeah, coworkers throwing up at work, all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I saw a coworker throw up at work.
Yeah. And you'd be the worst in an improv group.
So yeah, older gentleman. Okay, so he got sick at least twice that I know of at work. One time happened at in the bathroom. I had another buddy that was in there going to the bathroom, and at the end of the stalls, there's a handicap stall, so it's like twice the size of the normal stalls. My buddy is in the handicap stall. Dude comes in, sits in the stall next to him, makes a ton of grunting noises. What took place, according to reports, sounded like somebody threw a bucket of mud on the floor.
Awesome.
And then he grunted some more and then threw up on the floor. So my buddy's like, fuck this. No, did his thing, cleaned up. As he's pulling up his pants, he looks over and sees the guy's name tag. Well, about 2 hours later, I was working next to this gentleman, and he threw up on the side of a truck and got sent home. And when I was telling my friend this, he's like, oh, yeah, he shit and threw up at the same time in the bathroom. Oof. All over the fucking place. So that happened. I told Jake, I'm like, I don't know if this dude's dying, has COVID, or is just falling apart, like what's going on. So we played it safe, and that took out one night of podcasting.
Yeah. And the irony is, didn't he test negative today?
Well, no, this is a different coworker. So he tested
gotcha.
He tested negative and was actually back the next day. I had a different coworker that I was working directly with for 2 weeks test positive on Monday. He then took a more pristine test, I guess, more accurate test with his doctor on Tuesday. He didn't get the results back till today, and that came back negative.
God damn.
So it's just a shit show, and
It is.
everybody's feeling sick. I mean, I've been sore all week and a little bit of a scratchy throat at the beginning of the week and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, is it just because it got really cold all of a sudden, or are we dying of COVID? Or
I know, isn't it ridiculous?
What's going on here?
Well, and because like there's such a manic energy around COVID, every single symptom is a symptom of COVID.
Yeah.
So things that you used to just write off as being like, oh, it's allergies, it's
I can't breathe. Yeah, you're just congested.
You got a little
It's fine.
cold. It's not that big a deal, and none of us cared ever. But because COVID is such a big deal, like now everybody's hysterical about it, and we're all self-conscious. Like
it's all over the
I can't walk into a gas station and cough and not feel everybody's eyes turn towards me.
That's not where I thought that was gonna go. You say walk into the gas station, and Boondock Saints instantly pops into my head.
And what part of Boondocks?
Rocco is talking to his girlfriend's friend, Reggie, I believe is her name, where he says, I can't walk into a gas station, buy a pack of smokes without running into 9 guys you fuck.
Oh, yes. Okay.
One of my favorite lines of that film.
That part, yeah. That's before he shoots her cat?
That's after he shoots the cat.
Oh, yeah, because doesn't he end that rant with, and I shot your cat or something like that? Yeah,
I thought it would bring closer to our relationship.
Yeah. Man, that movie has so many good lines
it's so
in it.
good.
It's so terrible and so great. If you guys haven't watched Boondock Saints, the original one, definitely check it out. It's
unfortunate the timing of that film, though.
Oh.
So when it first got released to theaters, like a week or two later, not 9/11, Columbine happened.
Ooh.
And so I got pulled from theaters because they're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
And then it picked up steam a few years later, and now it's a cult classic.
No kidding. So that's why that movie just kind of, because I didn't know about it,
It just
when
went
it
on
came
the
out.
radar because of Columbine.
Yeah, I heard about it just through like suggestion. Somebody was like, "You need to check out Boondock Saints," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Watched it, and I was like, "How is this movie not bigger?" Because it's got like a cult following, like so many movies where you're like, "How is this not bigger?" Like Donnie Darko,
Yeah.
all of Kevin Smith's movies,
Yeah, you could pretty much any Kevin Smith film,
especially the first Clerks movie,
or the second
Rocky
one.
Horror.
Yeah.
Rocky Horror is pretty popular.
I still have
now,
yet
though.
to see that. I should watch that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good cult movies out there.
Cult movies are the best.
Yeah,
Usually. Not all of them, but most of them. Yeah. You want a beer?
I'd love a beer.
like a beer.
Let's have a beer. Let's talk a little bit about beer. Beer is good. Beer is kind to us until it isn't. What do we got here?
So
I like
bought
the colors.
this because it sounds like my kid named it.
How long my arms are? Look how long my arms are. I gotta give it to you, man. Like, you know how to pick beer pretty good. Okay,
Yeah, it just
there we
looks
go.
like something like
Look
a kid came up with.
how long my arms are.
It's
got this
a hazy IPA
creepy looking dude on the front of it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
with Mosaic, Idaho 7, and Simcoe hops.
Mosaic.
Mosaic's a fun word to say.
It's fun, but it's also. So I was telling Donnie earlier about Jake-isms, which is a fun. It's a term that my wife has coined for ridiculous things that I say. So I every now and again I sound like a stereotypical blonde girl, like a high school blonde girl. I'll just spit out something that's unbelievably incoherent, where you're just like, how are you that stupid? An example, and this is the one that I told Donnie earlier, was like she at the time had a new Camry. It was like maybe 6 months old, a year old, or something like that. And we're driving down to Minneapolis from Duluth, and I plugged something into the cigarette lighter, and I was like, oh, look, this outlet works. Genuine surprise. And I don't know if that's because I'm used to driving piles of shit
boxes.
or what, but I was genuinely surprised, and my tone just made her laugh so hard. So that is one of the Jake-isms.
It's what happens when you spend more than $500 on a car.
Yeah,
Shit
I
works.
guess. Yeah, I've owned too many Volkswagens. I've owned too many GM products. So where I was going with that was Mosaic is actually one of the Jake-isms. Is I read that as Mosaic once.
Mosaic?
And my wife looks at me and she's like, "Do you mean mosaic, you idiots?" Oh yeah,
guess that is the word I
That
was
is the
looking
right
for.
word.
Anyway, this is
So-
tasty as hell.
Cheers.
I like it.
It is very good. It is very good. Yeah. So
I love it, man, but just some of the shit that comes out of your mouth is
yeah.
it's like talking to my kids.
Yeah, well, I know. And I own it too. I know that I can be funny. I know that I can be smart. I also know that I can be a moron. You're like, wait, what?
You're like fire hot.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, and there's times where I'll be like, somebody will say something so just a common phrase, and it will go over my head. You ever have those words that you just cannot process? Where you're just like, how do you spell the word why? Like, why can't I think of how to spell the word why right now? I have that more often than I care to admit.
Spelling is not my strong suit by any means.
Yeah.
To the point where my boss gave me a little thing of whiteout for my status sheets.
Awesome.
And I'm so bad to the point where, like, to avoid the bullshit of my boss, giving me crap for it, I'll throw away whatever I'm working on and just rewrite it because I spelled a word
Just so
wrong.
that
And I
you
don't
don't have to
feel
deal
like
with them.
whitening it out.
That's awesome.
But it took me a good minute today to figure out how to spell excess.
Excess? Oh, okay. Excess is in excessive?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, pull out my phone. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well,
there
isn't
we
that
go.
funny that, like, and now, our phones are going to solve this issue for us because we can speak to them and then it'll
Just
write out
do
the
it
word for you.
Yeah.
But when I was in high school, the teachers, when I would ask how do you spell something, they'd be like, look it up in the dictionary. And I'd be like, I don't know how to fucking spell it.
Yeah, how the fuck am I supposed to find it?
How is a dictionary gonna help me, you twat?
Like, cool. I know it starts with a T, but that leads me
Exactly.
entire fucking section.
I'm asking how to spell tarmac, all I know is yeah. Well, that's a bad example because that's a pretty easy one. But you know what I mean. Excessive is a good example. You're like, okay, so there's a C in there.
There's an E, yeah, my daughter Harper, she just turned 6. She's in kindergarten and she loves learning stuff. And she'll be like, "How do I spell this?" I'm like, "I don't know, sound it out." And then I'm like, "Yes, that's how you spell that."
That's hilarious. Well, she'll tell you how it's spelled.
Yeah,
You'll just deflect it back to her.
It's kind of fun though. I like to fuck with her though, which I'm gonna fuck this kid up. That's already guaranteed. She asked me on Thanksgiving. So my wife and I went to Hawaii years ago. It was our last really big trip before we started having kids. We have pictures hanging in our dining room and stuff. And she was looking at it, and there's a picture of an inactive volcano because it's Hawaii. And we're sitting at dinner with my parents, and she's like, "Dad, how do volcanoes, stop erupting?" And I don't know, but I'm gonna bullshit my way through this answer. I look at her dead in the eyes. I'm like, "Well, they hired this guy to carry a bunch of rocks up there and just keep dumping it in until it stops exploding." And she just looked at me with this kind of puzzled look, and they're just like, "Oh, okay, I can see that."
Oh my god. Okay, so talking about ruining kids. So this week I was going to pick up my son from daycare. And when you walk into the building, immediately to the left is the office. So that's sort of the principal's office of this.
Oh, no.
It's preschool. And the administrator, principal, was like, "Oh, Jake, I need to talk to you for a second." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. How's this going to go?"
Either hit a kid or I forgot to give him gloves this morning.
Like, I know how wild this kid is. Like, what is it? I've been waiting for this. And she brings me in. She's like, "So your son said fuck today."
Wait, did she actually say fuck or did she say the F word?
No, she said the F word.
Oh, come on,
Which
lady.
is really cringy as
You're
far
an
as
adult.
I'm concerned. Yeah,
You're
like,
both adults. Just
you're
say
my
fuck.
age, Well, and yeah, so she tells me that there's no real known context for it. He just said fuck in some way. One of the other kids heard it and ratted on him.
Oh, no.
Which apparently I've got to teach him how to beat the shit out of narcs.
Does he know snitches get bitches get stitches?
Snitches get stitches. Yeah.
Yes.
So I started telling her a little bit about just sort of his behaviors at home because he picked up he's got a phrase. It's fucking lady. And he says that a lot. He is 3 years old, 3.5. And so he totally picked it up from my wife because he just out of the blue one day was like, "Fucking lady," and said it with like an angry tone, which is hilarious. And I look at my wife and I'm like, "Let me guess, you were driving." Because that's most likely like she was probably just like, "You fucking lady,"
right,
when they're driving. And so my son just connected with him. And now he will just run around the house screaming, "Fucking lady, fucking lady." But he'll get pissed and he'll be like, "Dad, I'm fucking pissed." Like,
and part of you is like, well, that's a real sentence. Like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
But they don't say that in front of teachers or grandma.
The kicker is this kid is using the word correctly.
God, so how do you get mad at him? You can't.
Yeah, like he'll curse at something. He'll be like, "This fucking thing." Like my 3.5-year-old, he curses more than me. It's not good, and we don't know what to do because we started by my wife and I we don't hold back words hardly at all. Like, we won't be perverted. We won't say like really questionable things. We won't joke about vaginas or something like that in front of him because we see those like some more private words, sexual words as being like, that's a little more risque than just saying shit or fuck or ass or whatever.
But swear words are fair game.
Well, and I think like our generation, the millennial generation, we use it. It's so part of the zeitgeist that
it's worse if you're in a shop. Like,
yeah,
that's straight shop talk, and
it's unavoidable.
It's so
I mean, in almost all settings, our generation just curses. We are not a bunch of prudes about it or whatever.
No,
so
just words.
I think it's going to be a little more of a non-issue as the kids get older and they're in school. But so this woman's talking to me, and I mean, I'm kind of explaining this to her. She's laughing, but still also kind of has this sort of like, okay, like, but like we don't tolerate it here.
Yeah,
we don't want kids swearing. And you know, it's a shame.
I should have just looked at him like, I don't know where the fuck you learned that from.
I know, right? But it sounds like they might have squashed it because you know they react. You know, the student called him out. The student narked on him, so that it's his first time of going like, oh, like wait a minute, there's a consequence to this here. And then the teachers were. She very like subtly was like, you don't say that here. And I think Atticus is pretty sensitive to other adults
telling
him
him no and stuff like that. Yeah.
At home, no, you tell him to stop saying the word fuck, and he doubles down. You know, like he gets away with a lot. I shouldn't say gets away with a lot. He attests a lot at home.
See, because like my kids swear. I mean, Roman to this day, his favorite scene still is "Holy shit."
Yeah,
Like doesn't matter. Like we'll be playing disc golf and I'll throw him. He'll be like, "Holy shit, Dad!" I'm like I'm not mad at you.
All right.
Whatever. It's just
Yeah.
we don't make a big deal about it. We don't really acknowledge it. It's only when it's really excessive. You know, when they start giggling and it becomes a game, they're like, okay, that's enough.
yeah,
But they stop. I mean, Harper hasn't sworn at school or anything yet.
that's good.
I think-
Girls are probably better about that, where they're just
yeah.
like socially a little more adept. Boys are like little feral animals.
Yeah, he's gonna be our problem child in school. he already beats up on his cousins at daycare.
Oh boy.
I'll go pick him up. Like, well, he had a rough day. Okay, what did he do? Well, he decided to slap Marley. I'm like, fuck.
Oh boy.
Come on, kid. And then because he'll piss me off, and sometimes I don't know what to say. I'll just be like, dude, shut up. You know, like just shut up. I don't want to hear your problems right now. Just shut up. Be quiet. Eat your food.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
I've said
Well,
it too.
Like, so now when he's in trouble, sometimes I'm getting after him. He'll just look at me like, shut up, Dad. I'm like, you can't be say that.
Boy, that'd get me boiling.
Well, so I talked with him the other day because he wasn't in trouble for anything major, but it was enough that he needed a little talking to. And he's like, shut up. I'm like, no, you shut up. And then he like looks kind of puzzled at me. And it's like, you shut up.
Oh my god! Can you imagine what your wife must be thinking as her toddler and her adult, her husband are arguing?
Yeah, she just
Shut up! No, you shut up! No, you shut up! You're a duty head.
she just looks at me and she's like, really? Like we're doing this? Or like we just ended up. He just started to giggle. I'm like, okay, so like you're fine.
Yeah.
Like just.
Well,
Just learn.
Your son isn't quite. He's a little bit of a handful.
But he's not.
He's not quite as off the walls, I think, as Atticus.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
He's not as hyper.
Yeah.
You know, he still has a lot of. He's still a softer kid, but like when he acts out, he acts out. He, you know, like if he's pissed, like he just screams. And it's like I'm not putting up with that.
Yeah, Atticus does the same thing. He screams and then smashes everything he can get his hands on.
Yeah, we do our timeout for Roman is he gets sent to his room and he's got one of those plastic covers on his doorknob so he can't get out.
Yeah,
and he fucking hates it because he can't get out. So like the other day at dinner he wasn't eating, and my wife made sloppy joes and I'm like, no, buddy, you gotta take three bites. No, just 3 bites. It's nothing bad. So he puts fucking sloppy joe in his mouth, gnaws on it for about a minute, takes his napkin, spits it out, and says, "Me done." I'm like, no, that's not. He's like, I took bites. I'm like, that's not taking bites, dude. Like you gummed it for a minute and spit it out.
It's amazing how they will try and game the system.
Yeah, just like
That's so funny. They're
what do
always
you-
looking for
just
loopholes.
Just eat your fucking food. And so then he got all pissy, and I told him he had to eat, and then he screamed at me, and I'm like, no, we're not dealing. I don't deal with you. I don't deal with my boss yelling at me. I'm not dealing with you yelling at me.
Yeah, exactly.
Drug his ass upstairs, and he, as soon as I shut the door, he fucking wailed, and we just let him up there for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, let him get through
Yep,
it.
and then after about
Deal with
5,
it.
he calmed down, and then 5 minutes later, I went up, and I got him. He's just sitting on his floor. Like, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, fucking
Yeah. I know, right?
eat. Now you have to eat cold, half-chewed sloppy Joe.
Yeah. That's so funny.
You gone fucked up.
I would wager that that's one of the most common issues with kids is just the battle of trying to get them to sit at the table, trying to get them to eat their damn food.
Yeah.
And like with my son, we're at the point now where we've done that. It's always a battle to try and keep him there. I am done screaming at him about it. At this point, it is now natural consequence. So I'm like, you need to sit down and eat, dude. Remember, no snacks at bedtime. you're going to be starved a whole night if you don't eat. And if he screws off and he decides to not take it seriously, I'm like, all right, tough shit.
Yep.
Bedtime will roll around, and inevitably, right before he's about to lay down, he'll be like, Dad, I'm hungry. And I'm like, what did I tell you earlier?
You should have fucking ate.
And in the beginning, he really threw a fit at bedtime, begging for food, screaming about how he was so hungry. And I was like, tough. I'm sorry, man. Like, that is why. And I don't just tell him once at dinner time. I'll prompt him 3 times, 4 times to just as a reminder, dude, just so you know. And I'll count down too, where I'll just be like, this is the last time I'm warning you. You need to eat now, or there's not going to be any food at dinner time, or excuse me, at bedtime. And I'll remind him then when it's bedtime. It's like, buddy, I warned you 3 times.
You had
whatever.
your chance. Yeah, because we have a rule. You don't have to eat all of your food, but you have to eat a couple bites of everything. No, even if you don't like it, 2 or 3 bites. You know, and Harper's okay. She'll eat, but she's so fucking slow. Yeah. And a lot of that is she likes to talk. She likes to fuck around. She gets distracted easily.
Yeah, she's a very sociable kid.
Yeah, and Roman's just so messy, you can't tell. Like, you have his plate, and then, like, you think he ate, but then all the food is, like, around the plate somehow.
Yeah, God, Atticus is just like that. They're animals.
Like, yeah, you're like, they are
feral animals.
Eat, or did you just, like, scoop it off and to make it look like you ate some of your food?
Oh, yeah.
I don't fucking know.
That's true. He's got a few months on Atticus, so behaviorally, he might be a little more ahead with some clever behaviors, where he's just like, if I mess things up enough, it looks like I ate, so that I can move on to whatever game I want to play.
I don't know. There was one night what were we eating? I can't remember what we were eating, but he had it sitting. He had pieces of it sitting next to his plate. He's like, "I'm done." I'm like, "I'm not." I even looked. I'm like, "I'm not sure if you actually ate. Eat what's on the table." You go totally. With me, like, no. You fucking put it on the table. You can eat it off the table.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to eat it off the table. Don't put it on the table.
We have a placemat.
Yeah.
If food ends up off of it, I'm just like, you need to eat that, bro.
Yeah, we just have a tablecloth.
The way that we try to approach it is that you have to take a bite of everything that's on the plate.
Yep.
So that's sort of our, like, we want you to try new things. We don't want you to get stuck in this, like, mac and cheese chicken tenders
hot
kind of
dogs.
cycle. Yeah, thankfully, he has no interest in hot dogs.
Roman loves hot dogs.
It's such
fucking loves them. And
yeah.
He gets them for like lunch on the weekend, like one of those.
That's cool.
He had bowling or whatever. We had a busy morning. It's already 12 o'clock by the time we get home.
It's hard enough to feed kids. So
like, cool.
If they're into something, yeah. And the beauty is, like, you can get really good quality hot dogs that are like straight beef. Where it's like, okay,
this
is
fine.
Like some weird sketchy. What are those super cheap hot dogs?
Fun dogs?
Fun dogs, or just like,
shitty.
Who knows what's in here?
There's nothing fun about them.
Especially when it's coming out of you.
You're like, it probably is a dog that was once fun. And that's how they came up with the name.
There it is. Exactly. It's Rover.
Look, it's laying down. Good boy.
Gross. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but kids have a lot of high moments. I mean, I gotta watch Ninja Turtles. I'm watching Ninja Turtles with Harper. We watched the first one, and she's never seen the cartoons, anything. I'm like, this is part of my childhood. Like, let's watch this and see what you liked, and she loved it.
Totally.
So last night, Christine took Ember and Roman to Bentleyville with her mom, and Harper and I stayed back. I'm like, okay, I'm like, well, that's cool. Like, what do you want to watch? She loves movies. I'm like, we have the house. Pick a movie. We'll watch in the movie room. And she grabs Ninja Turtles too. She's like, we need to watch this. I'm like,
that's so cool.
Fucking sweet. It was awesome until I asked her favorite turtle, and she said Raphael because he's mean, and she's mean to her brother.
Well, even if she didn't, like, clarify, where she's like, Raphael,
like,
just the fact that she chose Raphael, you're like, oh no.
It's like
I am in for it.
You picked the bitchy turtle.
I'm going to have an emotional, angry, explosive, irrational. Did I say irrational twice? Because I need to emphasize. For those that don't know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lore, that's character-wise, personality-wise, Raphael is kind of the loose cannon.
He is. And then Donatello gets referred to as Donnie a bunch in that film. And the first time she's like, "That's your name." I'm like,
Jesus, kid.
Fuck, good job, kid. Way to keep up there.
You need to walk around with a purple bandana.
Well, she asked me after that, because this is before they called him Donnie. She's like, "Well, which one's your favorite?" I'm like, "Donatello." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because it sounds an awful lot like Donnie." Then, like 5 minutes later, they call him Donnie, and she just got these like big eyes. I'm like, "Good." You're gonna be a great detective.
Right. All right. So she's not gonna be the smartest one.
No,
then.
she's
All right.
she's gonna be the one like, Dad, I'm a professional artist. I'm like, going to the lake walk, trying to get $20 from people by selling pictures is not a professional artist.
Oh my god. But who knows by that point, man? I mean, maybe in Duluth that will be a profession.
Who fucking knows?
Well, you know, Magnus Walker got his start that way. Do you know
Really?
who Magnus Walker
The
is?
name is super familiar.
So, for those of you who aren't
Walker.
familiar, Magnus Walker is so he's an English dude. He came over from Britain, and he came over, I think, in the 70s. He started, what is it, Serious Clothing? I think that's what it was called. So he started designing like a lot of clothes that was like kind of the kind of stuff that you'd see Ozzy Osbourne wearing.
Okay.
Leather pants, kind of that punk rocker style or whatever. So when he moved over here, he was just sort of like, oh, cool. Like, I love American culture. I want to just kind of try this shit out. Right. And so he's kind of doing a bunch of odd jobs, just trying to like make things work, living in, I think, Santa Monica at the time. And he went and he bought these pants that was from like a thrift store or something like that. And they were like, I think they were like leather pants or something like that. Man, it was something, I don't know if it was leather or some other kind of material. I'm not positive. He does a TED talk and he tells a lot about this story. But anyway, so he modifies them in some fashion that gives them like a little bit more punky look or something. And then he is down on, he's like somewhere, runs into somebody sees it and says, hey, I love those pants. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, I can sell them or whatever. And he's like, he's like, I love those pants. He's like, yeah, I made them. Because he just instinctively was he really respected this guy that he ran into, and he was like, "Yeah, I made them." And the guy was like, "Can you sell some?" And he was like, "Sure." And he's like, "I'll take 8 pairs of it." And then he ran back,
Holy
and he
shit.
went to the store where he bought them from, and he modified 8 pairs, and then sold them to him. And then he realized, like, I'm onto something. I can design clothing.
Yeah.
I've got a style here. So he starts doing that, and he was selling them on the boardwalk. So imagine Magnus Walker, who is this Porsche. I mean, look him up, Magnus Walker. You'll Google that. You will not find any other human beings. I promise you. You can get his name
one guy.
remotely close. You'll get him. And he's kind of like a Porsche aficionado. He's just been obsessed with them forever, well before they were popular. And he was part of the reason why the Porsche craze, the whole 911 craze, just kind of exploded in the
No
U.S.
shit.
Is because he did a short video called Urban Outlaw with one of his earliest restoration cars, where it was just kind of like late night. I think it was somewhere in L.A., really late. Nobody on the roads, and he's just ripping through the city with this fucking gorgeous car.
God, that'd be
And
fun.
they're filming it. It's very artistic. It's a beautiful video. It's sort of documentary style. It's super cinematic. It's great. Watch it. It's super fun. You'll get it. Anyways, so he's responsible for, or partly responsible for, this craze that just kind of blew up in the States. And yeah, so to bring this back around, it's funny that you say about your daughter, selling
So is
art
that
on the
art?
boardwalk. That's literally how Magnus Walker got his start, because when he created, I think it's called Serious Clothing. I might be wrong, but which is huge.
I think
Huge company.
Every good idea just needs a little bit of luck along the way to be successful.
Oh, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Right place, right
Like,
time.
I think you can have all the skills and all the knowledge in the world. And I think all of that puts you in the right position, but I think everything just needs a little bit of luck.
Well, and I'll say that authenticity is of all the people that I look up to in this world,
Which is
I
a
will
lot because
say,
they're kind of short.
I am. I'll say that authenticity is a trait of of every single one of these people. And, Magnus Walker is a good example of that as well, where it's like that guy, he came over here, he had his style, and he stayed true to it, and literally created a company, a clothing company, a style company that was, in the end, sold to Hot Topic. It was one of the biggest
Damn.
brands in Hot Topic. So you think about how crazy that is. And he was the weirdo. He's this dude who's got like these white dude, massive dreadlocks, Porsche fanatic.
I can see. I can see why you looked up to him. There's a lot of things you're describing that are you.
Yes, I used to have dreadlocks.
You said dreads, love driving a Porsche,
Yep.
Hot Topic.
Yeah, well, that's funny. I just like, I really respect him because I look up to people that kind of do their own thing, you know,
Yeah,
like
kind of pave their own path. And
particularly with like the car cultures, motorcycle cultures and stuff. Like people that manage to make it work in there, and they aren't just the gas monkey garage types, which I mean, they're fine. Like I respect the gas monkey garage guys. They've built some cool shit. They've managed to make it into a massive enterprise.
but the guys who are doing things that other people aren't.
Yeah, like Dustin Cott, he builds gorgeous classic Honda motorcycles. Maxwell Hazan, he's a literal artist with motorcycles. You look at his bikes, I mean, the amount of engineering this guy does. He will machine his own wheels. He will machine casings for for engines. This guy, he when you look at his bikes, it is literal a rolling work of art. And the kicker is he drives the shit out of them.
Well, yeah, it's a bike. That's what you should do.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the greatest builders in the country. So yeah, when you see guys like that, and then Magnus Walker, he may not be the greatest builder in the world, but I really respect him because he stays 100% true to who he is, and he's obsessed, just absolutely passionate, obsessed with Porsches. Like, you managed to make it work, dude. You're your own person. You never compromised once. Like that, I respect the shit out of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look him up because
he's a good dude.
I've heard of him, but I don't know anything about him.
He looks a lot like Rob Zombie.
Okay,
Rob Zombie's another person that I respect the shit out of.
You say white guy with long dreadlocks. I think of the lead singer of Lamb of God. Is who first comes to my head.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't think
no.
of his name.
Yeah, this guy's a little scruffier, I think.
Okay, so yeah, then Rob Zombie's a good fit.
Yeah, no, he definitely looks like Rob Zombie. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I could go on a tangent about Rob Zombie too. Like
Rob Zombie's a badass.
Yeah, and he's another dude that in a time like 100% created his own thing, his own music. He has his own style. He has like he created this weird ass culture around it. It's great.
He kind of popularized, I don't want to say horror, but like this kind of darker side of entertainment.
Yeah, well, yeah, it started with his music because his music was very like dark and grimy and grungy sounding,
but very
metal.
theatrical at the same time.
Oh yeah, more human than human. Starting off with a woman moaning, like they didn't give a shit. They were gonna create Thunder Kiss 65, another song that's just like fucking wild. Nothing sounds like it. Just like in your face. This is what we like. This is the music we make.
Yeah, like it or leave it.
Yeah, fuck you if you don't like it. Bye.
Well, that's that. I think that's you kind of have to have that
it.
attitude in the entertainment industry, especially nowadays with YouTube and Apple, like all these streaming services and everything. It's easy to get washed out.
Oh my god,
it's so hard to stand out, and that's why you just kind of have to stay true to who you are and like fuck it. This is us. This is what we do.
And it's like you're either gonna pop or it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
But it's all about time in with all of these things.
It really is.
I mean, if you're one of these standouts, like, and there's never a guarantee, but and that's something we do with dad mods. Is like we're not trying to compromise. Like we're building things that are 100% to our taste.
Oh yeah.
In fact,
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't even have to call it dad mods. We could say that we're the sacrilege car builders.
You and I. The one thing you and I have in common when it comes to building literally anything is we're not purists.
No.
we like to
Not at all.
combine all sorts of stuff to make something unique and one of a kind.
Yeah. Well, like I guess the way that I view it is that like I appreciate purists in the fact that like, okay, you're going to preserve the history of this.
Yeah.
And I love history. So when I go to a car museum and I see a pre-A 356 Porsche, I go, that must be maintained. That must be kept. That is a literal piece of history. A Hebmuller bug. I need that to stay true to what it is.
21 window bus.
Yeah, exactly. Yanko, Camaro.
Yeah.
These cars they
Just leave them
shouldn't.
perfection.
at least a handful of them need to be just like kind of left alone. And I love that there's people out there who will do that. You know, they'll stay true to that sort of thing. And I'm not one of those people. I have my own style. Like there's a video that I've got saved, and I can't remember if it's from Vimeo or if it was a YouTube thing, but it was like many years ago. There was like it's sexy. It's got a Santi Gold song in the background of it. It's this like hot chick who's in like high stiletto type things. I don't know. Maybe that's not stiletto. Stilettos I think are the narrow high heel, the really
I don't know my high heel.
elegant gown wearing kind of
You're
like.
talking to the wrong person. I did not know heels.
It's something like a high profile New York chick would wear. I think what I'm thinking of is they're pumps. It's a heel that's got like a blocky heel on it, but whatever. It's sort of this like sort of counterculture alternative looking chick, fucking smoking hot, and she's walking toward it. It's cool. It's a really cinematic little video where it's like you see her walking and she's walking toward this silhouette of a car, and then you realize that it is a very patinaed, kind of rusty 356, early 356 coupe, and she gets in it and fires it up, and her heels push into the pedals and stuff like that to kick it on. It's all just like, it's this kind of beautiful, incredibly stylistic little video. I adore it because it's so unique, and that anybody who's like a diehard Porsche fan looks at that and goes like, oh my God, this 356 is like literally resting on the ground. It's slammed. It is sitting on the ground. It's kind of rusty and rough looking. Big ass wheels on it. I adored it. So I love that video.
It's funny you bring up classics, and some people consider them ruined depending on how they're built. We're gonna make the jump to EVs.
Yeah.
There's a Facebook post that I saw that you liked as well on the Holly page. I can't remember the name of the Facebook
it's
page.
High Voltage Fest or whatever it is.
There's an old Jaguar that somebody EV swapped, and it's awesome. I love it. But there were so many people that were butthurt about it. Mm-hmm. It's an old Jag. Like, who fucking cares? Like, it's awesome. Like, there's surely there's some in museums, and some old guy that owns one that's mint condition and all that. EV swap one. Let's see it. Do it. I want to see that. I want to see something different.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the Hoonigan guys, they just picked up that Rolls-Royce Phantom, that old school Phantom, and they got a Art Morrison chassis that they fitted to the thing, and then they've got a Hellcat engine that they tossed in it. And it's going to be 1,000 wheel horse beast that's built for just donuts and hooning, but it's a Phantom, an old school Phantom. It's great. Like, I love
crazy
that
shit.
There's always going to be the purists. And you guys, like, if you're a purist,
that's fine.
Know that we appreciate you. Like, because you're preserving the piece of history, so the rest of us could
be just fuck off and do whatever.
Our personality is to throw our personality into it and to customize and not have fear that we're corrupting some remaining example. Like, it's fine. There's more than enough purists. The shoebox Ford community is the same way, where you've got so many people that they don't want to touch anything. It's all about keeping it 6-volt. It's all about like the original style, numbers matching, this and that. Yeah. Oh, the flathead's super common to keep. We're talking people want number matching everything. It's got to have original fenders. It's got to have fucking, taillights have to be this exact thing from this exact year, from this exact factory.
There's no personality to it then. It's just another
No, it's okay, but I'm not going to diss it because I still think that it's preserving a piece of history, but I'm going to be the dickhead who's over here who is putting an S10 clip on the front of it, shoving an LS motor, making an LS motor look classic, which apparently butt hurts a lot of these classic car guys. I don't know why they hate the LS so much, but they hate the LS, especially when you make it look classic. It's the weirdest thing.
I love it. But you mean to tell me I have the reliability of a modern motor, but it looks old school? Like, that sounds the best of both worlds.
And here's the thing: they'll go on these tangents about how classic motors are just as reliable and this and that, and then I go, then why did Chevy change it? Why is there a Gen 3 small block? Why is there a Gen 4 small block if you think your Gen 1 or Gen 2 is so on par with it? they wouldn't have updated to these newer things if it wasn't for it needing to happen for XYZ reason. But I'm not going to go on a tangent about that because it's fine. They'll piss and moan. They'll do the crybaby kind of thing while I'm over here modifying my car my way. Yeah. Whatever. Go fuck yourself.
Well, BMWs are the same thing. Everyone's like, oh, man, put an M52 in it, put an S whatever in it. It's like, no.
Isn't that like, so weird? Or they're LS, not even like...
LSs are acceptable. There's actually a really, really clean example. It was a 91 315 that popped up. The guy, I think, wanted like 12 grand for it. Red, LS swapped. It's beautiful. It's a work of art.
That's a decent price.
Yeah, yeah. And like that got a lot of love. But a lot of people are like, oh, you should have put a BMW motor in a BMW. Mm-hmm. Who fucking cares? Go have fun. Well, what's the car built for? What are you going to do with it?
What's interesting about, well, and I guess I could say this about the shoebox community too. So the first infraction is taking the flathead out. In a lot of people's minds, and in the BMW, like the E30 groups, I bet the first infraction is taking out the M20 B25. If you take out the flathead, that's the first thing. There's a handful of people that will shit talk you to no end because you took out that original motor. I realize yours is a B27, different can of worms. But
I'd say not so much taking out an M20. A lot of people are okay with that. It's what you replace it with.
Okay,
a lot of people recommend, again, an M50 series motor.
Okay, so in the shoebox community, they'll for sure give you a hard time if you're like pulling the flathead. And I get it. Like the flathead's a super cool, like
very
tons of character.
Motor. Oh yeah,
yeah. I get that. But they'll even give like, and it's not super common because a lot of people do put the 5 liter in or the Y block or whatever. But yeah, so with the BMW community, it's a little different. So they're not as worried about pulling the M20 as long as they like an M52 or an S52 or S54.
A lot of people will post up new to E30s. Oh, I just picked this up. What's the best way to make power? And people are like, oh, swap it out for an M50 whatever. Mm-hmm. Or for the same amount of money, you could do something really fun.
something really creative.
Something with a little bit of personality to it.
Yeah.
Because I think you and I did the math at one point in time, and an M50 swap compared to the SR swap was almost the same.
Yeah, very similar.
SR was a little bit more, but not by much.
Yeah. Well, and the irony is that the SR swap, it gains you a lot of really cool characteristics about the car. It's lighter. It puts the weight closer to the center of the car. It puts it behind the axle more. You're turboed, so you get your choo-choos. Yeah. It's fun. It's an incredibly fun engine. And yeah, it's like, you've got a couple of things to work out as far as like fitting exhaust and stuff like that goes, but
it's not that hard of a swap.
As far as I'm concerned, the SR swap should really be like, okay, so you've got an E30. What are your list of swaps? Well, like M50 or M52, S52, LS1, SR20. Those should be your top 4 options because I just don't. The way that engine fits in that car is breathtaking. You pop the hood and you go like, oh, this is an original motor. This looks like it's an original motor.
Yeah, the only thing that's kind of a bitch, like you said, is the exhaust and maybe the intercooler piping, depending on which route you go.
But if it was really an OEM engine, it'd have a side mount.
Yeah, exactly.
So it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah, it's just fine. I fucking love it. It upsets me that we get so much snow and salt so early because it's just sitting in the garage. We've been out in the garage a bunch, rewiring it and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't watched that episode, it's awesome. Take some ibuprofen or what's that motion sickness medication?
God, what do you take when you're gonna fly on a plane? So it's the D.
Oh, I have no clue.
Dihethyltryptamine?
I have no clue.
Isn't that like a psychedelic? I don't know.
Anyways, watch the episode. It gets really trippy. kind of like a Aussie video at the very end.
Oh god, yeah. So we had a little quirk when it comes to the editing software. Sorry, guys.
A little quirk. It's like it was filmed on a cruise ship. It's
having a seizure. It's weird. I don't know why, and I did not catch it. Whoops. But yeah.
Anyways, so like being out in the garage a lot, and the car's just sitting there. I'm like, I want to drive it more.
Oh, I get it.
Because like the last week before we got salt on the roads, it was starting to run so good.
Oh, I know. We're getting it dialed in.
And it's parked.
Finally figuring out like why we were having issues with pulling timing. Yeah.
A lot of fuel issues.
Yeah, whatever the hell that was. It's slowly kind of getting itself worked out. There's no guarantee because unfortunately we can't drive it. We can't put it under load. But whatever. Okay. It'll be out. It'll leave the garage for Motorhead Madness. Whatever.
You want another one?
I do want another one. I shouldn't, but I'm going to.
That's like you have to work tomorrow.
Did you guys hear that? Nope. Probably not. You guys smell that? No? Okay.
Gotta play catch up.
Lucky. Yeah. So, should we tell the people about a few changes with the podcast?
Yeah, some stuff changed.
Nothing that you're seeing. So,
no,
we've
yet.
been exploring our options for a while now, kind of keeping our eyes open for a space to do our podcasting out of. As much as we love doing it in the garage, it's just not ideal as far as heating goes.
Yeah, and finances. I mean, it's expensive to run the heat out here.
It is. And that's the thing is compared to what we were looking at, this is still a bargain to heat this thing, because we were considering renting. We were looking at office spaces and stuff like that, which is still it's a super cool concept. It'd be fun to have people out to an actual spot where it's always set up and whatever. Well, it dawned on us when we were wiring up the garage, which check out that video. Please be careful on the outro if you're prone to seizures. It dawned on us while we were downstairs wiring things in that
if we move the cat box.
Yeah, so basically Donnie's got a really good sized basement that has some pretty unused sections in it. Yes, there's a cat box in the back corner. So there's this area down there that is sort of ripe for the picking, and your basement is not organized whatsoever.
Oh, God, no.
Like a weekend's worth of organization and building shelving and stuff like that. Basically what we figured out is that your basement is probably a great spot to build a podcasting studio.
Yeah, overall, I mean, it's a bluestone basement, so it gets a little humid in the summer, not bad. A little chilly in the winter, but not bad. It's all tolerable. We won't have to worry about heating, anything like that. Because the garage is run off a sub panel in the basement, we now have pretty much whatever we want to do. We can add another couple circuits easily to add extra lighting, outlets, whatever. Yeah, don't spill that on the soundboard.
I know. I just fingertips just whack the end of it.
And that's the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. It spilled right onto the mixer.
God. But yeah, so there's a ton of potential. We could easily move the table, set up everything. Yeah, it's just more moving my wife's Christmas shit out of the way. And we just have some random shelves that have to get organized better.
Yeah.
But really not much to do. I mean, I'd say a solid week worth of cleaning and just moving and all that, and it would be set and ready to go.
Oh, for sure. And I bet you guys would be happier anyways, organizing all the crap and probably purging, because it looked like you guys had some old stuff down there that could probably go.
Yeah, there's some old shit. It's one of those things, there's some boxes down there where you just don't quite know what to do with shit. I know I have a box down there that contains CDs that I had.
Oh God, you never know what to do with that.
I have no clue. And now with Spotify, I'll get rid of them. But I'm gonna go through them. We bought Harper a karaoke/radio/CD player for her birthday.
Okay. Yeah. So you got to go through it and figure out which CDs are worth her having.
Yeah, and actually, there's three in that box that I know for sure she'll get. She'll get Linkin Park's first album.
Excellent.
She'll get Wisconsin Death Trip.
Well, yeah, she's been to a concert, right?
No, not yet.
She was going to go to a concert.
So I was going to take her, but it happens the week before All That Remains. And I'm already going to 3 concerts that month and a car show. And I can't push the wife anymore. she wanted to. We're taking the kids to San Diego this winter, and she's like, "Oh, when should we go?" I'm like, "Not March. Any other month, but March is booked." She's like, "Well, what's going on?" I'm like, "This,
All of
this,
it.
this." Like, I'm like, I got 5 things going on.
All of it is going. It's gonna be a very expensive month.
Yeah, a very expensive month.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a CCR Greatest Hits album in there that I think she'd like.
Oh, you got to.
Yeah, she likes Queen a lot, which is mainly because of my wife. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
So
okay, you just have
anyway,
this.
our what we figured out was that we're going to build a podcasting studio in Donnie's basement.
Yes.
So we've got a nice back corner. It's going to provide us with more than adequate spacing.
Yes.
One of the biggest things is that we can isolate the space. We can kind of like manage volume, echo, all those kind of things. We can build so that we can put like a monitor in there and stuff.
Yeah, we could build a couple of walls down there if we wanted to.
Yeah, like it's really exciting in that like we can sort of build the space to suit our needs. It's pretty dry. It's very dry.
That corner is so our house is at the very base of where the hill kind of starts to flatten out. And well, for those of you who have never been to Duluth, we're built on the side of a hill. So our house is on the very bottom of that hill, and one half of our basement gets not drenched, but there's a little bit of water that comes in. But on the other side, because it's on the flatter side, it's not bad at all. There's no rainwater to settle there.
And it's really not that. It's not a basement smelly kind of house. It's not that bad. I've been to some houses that have a basement smell, and yours really doesn't.
Yeah, and the cat. I mean, despite being a cunt, she's 9, so like we might have to put up with her for like another 6 years, and then she'll probably be
Another
dead.
6 years. I have met a
Maybe.
25-year-old cat. So
Growing up, my mom had a Siamese cat that lived to be 24.
oh, that's amazing.
And she was blind.
I know, 25, 24. That's insane.
She was blind as a bat, and you could tell because like my mom, you know, because we're people, so you rearrange the living room every once in a great moon and whatnot, and we'd rearrange, and the cat would like know where shit is, but we rearrange the furniture, and then she just walk into the couch. You hear a thud as she walks into the an end table. You're like,
oh my god,
oh, that poor cat. And then like a month would go by, she kind of figure out where everything's
yeah,
at.
but it's a cat, so who really gives a shit?
The cat was sweet, but yeah,
I just don't like cats.
I like my cat.
Anyways,
she's a bitch.
Jesus, can we stay on topic? So
no, this is a podcast.
So
We
we've
don't
got
do that.
a basement that so it has a cat box in it. Okay, we're gonna move the cat box. Yes, it's got a damp corner. Okay, but it's a nice space and it's gonna work for building. So
Tons of
we're
potential.
in time. We've got to talk a little bit about the details, like kind of plan it all out, figure out our costs, and then start putting it all together.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. We're gonna put together a actual podcasting studio. And I don't think you guys are going to see that for a little while. I mean, I would guess it's going to take a couple months before we're officially in there. Or a month.
I would like to be there sooner than later, just because January and February is the really cold months.
That's
But
true. Actually, it might be. We might be in there in a couple of weeks.
We might have no choice but to hurry up and move on this.
Yeah.
But we also have the holiday season and the New Year, so I know kids' life just gets fucking chaotic.
Yeah.
Who knows? We might run into COVID again. But
Yeah.
I would like to say New Year, new us.
I say that's a good goal.
That's the goal. Well, will it happen? I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to pick away at least cleaning it, so that way it's just a blank canvas for
Well,
us.
and I think what we'll end up doing is we're going to be setting up our Zoom podcast again here just as a contingency plan, because it's becoming so common for these COVID situations to happen, and regardless of the variants and the, you know, like how dangerous they are and whatever, we're still going to treat it always the same, of just sort of like, okay, everybody's got a different level of comfort with this whole thing.
Yep.
And I'm in social work, so I need to be careful because I work with people that work with incredibly vulnerable folks. So, you know, we all got to be careful about
And
it.
it's kind of funny because I hate my job, and I'm like, if I could just get 2 weeks off, I could get so much shit done around the house.
That's hilarious.
Like I took a COVID test before I came over here today just to be safe, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, if it comes back positive, I could clean the basement out in these 2 weeks, and we'd be set.
That's
like
funny.
Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll probably set up some fresh electrical. We'll film a video on it. You know, like we might build walls and everything. We'll see.
Yeah, it depends
Yeah,
on,
well-
like you said, budget and time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's exciting. So and when we do that, we'll add in a little bit more character. We'll bring some similar things from
So
here.
is the
and-
CB going over to my place? We could put that in the basement.
Well, what's cool is like you've got a door into your
Yeah,
basement.
we could easily put the CB in the basement.
No, because then I'll definitely never get to it. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely have some bike chassis, so we could always hang a motorcycle from the wall.
I have a motorcycle hanging from the wall in my garage.
We should just finish that.
Yes.
We should finish both of your bikes.
Yes.
I have,
and
but-
there's things to the ground I would like to do, and yeah, everything would needs to be modded. I have
Depending on how much space we have behind us, we may hang one of my motorcycles off your wall.
that would be pretty sweet.
Because I have like 3 rollers, so we could do something fun with it.
we should.
Yeah.
We totally should.
We'll figure all of those things out.
If you'd
Whatever.
Like to, if you'd
anyway,
like to donate a motorcycle for this, we'd
Yeah.
do that too.
well, and even for that matter, if you've got a motorcycle that's a shitty old fixer-upper, let us know. Especially if it's a smaller one, like a CB360 or something like that,
Because
or a
what we need
125.
is more projects.
Yes, but I mean, we're talking about EV stuff. We're always
true.
talking about EV stuff,
true.
so we're gonna start getting into that at some point.
Can you really have too many projects?
I'm bordering on it.
I don't know. As long as you keep, like, the wife was giving.
CB750, Ruckus, Svartpillen, Ford, GS850, KZ440, Aero 50, Moto Glera, CB125, CB125.
Well, see, like, so my wife was giving. Me,
I got a few things going on.
My wife was giving me a little bit of shit about how much I spent on the garage.
C1500,
Stop fucking
Silverado,
cutting me off. I'm trying to talk.
Honda Civic, 4Runner. Okay, I'm done.
Well, she was giving me shit about the garage, and I'm like, well, at least it's done. She's like, well, it only took you 5 years. I'm like, well, yeah, I also built a BMW in the process.
Yeah.
And picked up and sold an RX-7.
Yeah. Well, and you helped build
And helped build a
the Ford
and a
built the
Civic,
Civic
and all sorts of other things. Like,
and rebuilt a Legacy.
I looked at her. I'm like, at least I'm getting my projects done. At least I'm saying I will get to this.
Okay.
And it's happening. At some
Okay,
point
so-
in time, it is happening.
All you need to do is point back to the days before Dad Mods where it was the cycle of projects.
Yeah.
Where things weren't getting done.
And now they are.
So we formed Dad Mods.
And shit's happening.
Mischief Garage back then, and the whole point of it was we've got too many fucking projects, let's tag team these things. Oh, hey, we both have aspirations to film stuff.
We got a little sidetracked for like 2 years with a Subaru that blew up
Yeah.
and building a Civic.
Yes, we definitely had a few sidelining things, but they were fun.
They
And,
were very
and
fun.
They were fun
learning-
video series
learning
too.
experiences.
It's hilarious that we started the whole channel with building pit cruisers, which might have hurt a little bit of that early energy because like people like we had a huge surge of subscribers in the beginning. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is super cool. You guys are going to be doing this thing." And then it turned into like 12 episodes and a year's worth of filming.
So if you guys wanna see something kind of fun, go back, pick any of the pit cruiser videos at random.
Watch the first
Yeah,
one.
watch the first one. Watch
First
a,
one's
watch a
actually
couple
fun.
of them, and then watch a video from the shoebox or the BMW episode, and the quality and just us being comfortable on camera and all that, and the
Yeah.
dialogue is night and day different.
Oh my God, you watch our...
It's incredible to see how much we've grown in a couple of years.
It's wild. Our very first video was so it was like the versus video where it was so cheesy in
It's
our
so
minds.
dumb.
We thought that this was going to be really great. And it actually is a really fun video because it covers a lot.
And it has Alan in it.
It does. So what does it open with? I'm trying to remember. It just opens with us kind of describing
No,
what our.
it opens with you.
Is it the race?
I think it opens with a race. You sliding up on the cooler, saying on this episode of Dad Mods.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you say after that.
I'm
the
doing
audio
a
kinda
donut.
Cuts out
I'm doing a donut around Chris. I did subtitles.
at some point. Oh, that's right.
I did subtitles because it was really hard to hear what I was saying. But I drifted around Chris. And said that, like, on this episode of Mischief Garage, we raced the pit cruisers or whatever,
Yeah, and it was me
took off.
literally walking a tricycle.
Yeah, because you couldn't even pedal it; you just walked
I had
it.
to walk.
I know, it's such a cringy first video, but it's also like it's fun to see where things start and then where they go to now. Which how many years down the road and the quality of our filming equipment and
that
our
brings
knowledge.
up something. So we have an episode coming out on a recent purchase that Jake made, and at one point tonight while we're filming, we have 4 high quality cameras going.
Yeah, we do.
With 4 different lenses. And go back 3-4 years ago when we first started, cell phones and a camera.
Yeah, it
GoPros.
it was cell phones. It wasn't even GoPros. It was a Xiaomi Mi.
I had my one GoPro.
You had your GoPro like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Which at the time wasn't actually too bad. So we had that. Yeah, we had Galaxy S6, and then
I think it's 6,000. I think you bought the 6,000 to start with.
no, we didn't have that right away. We had literally just a cell phone and just a GoPro knockoff for a little bit there. And yeah, like we managed to make it work. It wasn't great, and we certainly weren't
Yeah.
comfortable on camera, but
Chris helped out a lot. Big shout out to Chris Flink.
Yeah, Chris Flink.
Go check out his channel.
yeah,
But-
Flink Films, look that up. It's
But
a
he
phenomenal
helped
channel.
start us off and push us in the right direction.
Yeah. It's fun to think about where we started and where we're at now. Yeah. And we're shooting 4K on multiple cameras now, which we don't have our uploads in 4K, but our renders are in, like, or rather we're bringing 4K into the edits. So you'll see like that really crisp quality in the videos as well. So like our most recent video, we shot a fair amount of that in 4K, where we're doing like the basement, or rather the wiring in the garage and the basement and stuff. And that was all in 4K. Looks freaking awesome compared to our old stuff.
Yeah, until you get a headache.
Until there's the shakes, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not your problem.
Anyway,
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know where we even started with this
I
conversation.
know you get a couple beers in you, and it's just sort of
you just
foggy.
keep randoming
But
and
yeah. So
randoming.
anyway, we're building this podcast studio, so you're gonna see some changes here. I mean, I guess maybe by the new year we're gonna try.
I would like
mean,
to see the
If we're
new year.
building walls, that might be really hard to do that.
Well,
but-
I think just for time and money, probably start off with like the curtain idea, and then it's one of those like 6 months down the road, 3 months down the road. Okay, let's frame some
Sure.
walls.
yeah, we'll look into it. We'll figure out what's gonna
And-
work for it.
And it all depends on like, okay, well, we tried the curtains, but the wife can still hear us upstairs like clear as day, or the cat comes downstairs and that's becoming an issue or whatever. So the walls might be a necessity where it's like we just have to just do it and just get done with.
Yeah. It's gonna be funny. Like, so I was thinking
Just
the
don't
other
shoot
day
my cat.
about okay.
We're drinking beer
Yeah.
around the table.
About the yeah, nice, another Boondock Saints reference. So I was just thinking about it in terms of like having guests over. Once you walk through the house to go downstairs, it doesn't seem that suspect. But if you go in through the back door, I have to chuckle at the idea of like, oh yeah, we're shooting a podcast and people come over, especially if we ever have women on, where they're just like, come with us into this basement, and then we walk into this sort of dark room, and there's
Does
like
this rag smell like chloroform?
exactly. There's just like this space where it's curtains. It's like literally curtains hiding this like little spaced off area in the back. Come with us. This is where the podcast is. I promise there's no restraints back here.
so 2 things. First off, I think we're safe from having any women on this show.
Au
Unless it's the
contraire.
wives. Oh?
My wife may be on.
I said other than our wives.
Yeah, she's
Wives don't count.
her and I were we were having a lot of laughs the other night, and she's just like, God, we're hilarious. And I'm just like, why do you think I've been trying to get you on the fucking podcast?
Yeah.
Like, my wife is fucking hilarious. I'm like, what are you waiting for? Get on the podcast. You have an invite any night.
Your wife with a couple of beers in her almost scares me a little bit.
She is a loose cannon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. I want to get her on here. But yeah, anyway, so I mean, it would be it's funny, especially as like we'll be bringing people in.
Yeah, and the back door isn't going to happen for a while.
That's what she said.
Why do you think all of our guests drink beer? Loosen them right up.
Yep.
My mother-in-law's father-in-law, if that makes sense. So my mother-in-law's husband's dad, stepdad.
Mother-in-law's father.
Well, yeah, it's a real conflict. There's
Pretty separated.
There's a lot of ins, a lot of outs. But anyways, my wife and I were out of town. My mother-in-law decided she was going to be nice to us. You got that. Hopefully you guys did too if you're watching this. But we were out of town. She decided she was going to do something nice for us, which we were thankful for. We always need to put a new back door into our basement. But he didn't put it in a back door. He essentially made it a wall. He took a wood door and screwed it into the frame, and now we have a wall.
Wait, it doesn't hinge?
It doesn't hinge. It's a fucking wall.
Wait.
So we will have to unscrew the door he put in and frame in a door.
Wait.
To make that usable.
Wait. So this is a normal adult. How old is he?
Oh, God. She's in her 50s, so he's got to be late 70s. I would assume. Maybe late 70s. I don't
Okay, so
know.
in that family, is that just how it works? Like, the boomer gets rid of his boomer wife and shacks up with the younger.
No. So, no.
Okay.
So it's my mother-in-law's husband. Okay. His mom is essentially married to this gentleman for ages. They've been together for a long time. He's always been kind of a handyman. But
okay, I get the math.
Was going to install a door, and because it's a weird size, he didn't install a door. He took a door, chopped it, and then screwed it into place, so it's a fucking wall. So it's at least secure, but...
So you're telling me that this is a normal, high-functioning adult...
No.
Who wipes his own ass?
Questionable.
Yeah, okay.
He is a gentleman that... They're from Louisiana...
Rants about those fucking Cajuns like Tom Segura.
It's not that bad. I can't do the accent, otherwise I totally would. But they're very much rednecky. Literally lived out of a like an RV, essentially.
Okay.
They'd come up in the summertime, and then they go back in the wintertime.
A Walter White RV?
Yes. Like a Winnebago man.
Like a 70s Winnebago?
Yes. Where somebody just slammed the fucking door.
My mind's a piece of shit. I showed my wife that for the first time the other day, and she loves it.
Favorite internet clips of all time.
These fucking flies.
If you guys want to laugh so hard you pee yourself, look up a Winnebago man and just watch the highlights.
It's really funny.
It's so funny.
It's a real video.
Yeah, these guys are very much like... Their dog was strictly an outside dog, and when he got worms, he was just going to take them out back and, like, take care of them.
Damn.
Yeah, so
that's harsh.
Yeah, they're very...
I mean, the drugs to take care of those worms are not expensive.
Yeah.
Does he just, like, look for a reason to shoot his dog? Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. They're very
It sounds like somebody needs to take this guy out back and shoot him.
I could go into a big rant that I'm not going to do.
Does he eat crawfish out of the river?
He probably can't spell crawfish.
Does he go down to the St. Louis River and pick crawfish? Jesus.
They got all sorts of
Christ.
kinds of shrimp. They got shrimp gumbo and shrimp pasta.
Okay, so this knob screws in a solid wood door.
Yeah, so we get back from our trip, and they're like, "Oh, we did this thing for you," and I'm like, I'm gonna have to redo everything you fucking did because we don't have a door anymore.
You made a door that was a door that did door things, not a door.
Yeah, like it was a really shitty door that was.
But it's
like,
still open.
Yeah, like the door had a big glass section to it that broke, and I screwed in some plywood over and all that kind of stuff because it was on our to-do list to replace it.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, but it's still fucking open and fucking shut so you can get to the goddamn basement. And now it's a fucking wall. Like, you didn't replace the door, you turned it into a wall. There's a complete fucking difference.
Oh my God. I would be so livid.
Oh, I was
I'd go
very pissed
steal
off.
his front door and use it.
So you know me. I'm not very good at confrontations. It's not my strong suit. I'm very passive aggressive. And I was fucking pissed.
That's some really good self-awareness.
Yeah, I just know that's who I am.
Fair.
That's the reason. That's probably one of the many reasons the dude is my spirit animal.
Sure.
I'm just very like, I don't want to deal with bullshit.
He's not passive aggressive, but he's just sort of like,
like-
it's not worth it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, I just don't want to get into it. I know, but yeah, we get back from our trip, and like I was trying really, really hard, just be super nice to my mother-in-law and not bitch her out for this major fuck up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I kind of get why you're trying to be nice, but at the end of the day, it's not your fucking house. Leave shit
It's
alone.
weird.
If you are house sitting for us and you like unload the dishwasher, that's one thing.
Mow the fucking lawn.
Yeah, but if I come home and the kitchen is painted a different fucking color, give me the fucking key.
That's the kind of stuff.
Turn that shit over.
That's the kind of stuff that you'd see on a cheesy sitcom like King of Queens or something like that, where you're just like, oh yeah, nobody really does that in real life.
Who says I want to do something nice? I'm gonna replace your fucking door for you.
I'm gonna no. Here's the thing. I'm gonna replace your door by screwing in a door to not open. Your door opens. I'm gonna put a door in that looks better but doesn't open.
It doesn't do shit.
Why wouldn't you go, hey, sorry man, like
It's not even
I
weather
fucked
treated.
up.
It's not even weather treated.
It's an indoor door.
Yeah,
it's an
it's
interior door.
It's a solid door, but it's not painted or stained or anything to help protect it from.
It looks like an interior door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like why wouldn't that register in your shitty brain that like, oh, this is an inconvenience for these people. Just so you know, I'm gonna solve this. I have good intentions. So he just screws it shut and is like, this is great.
Yeah, it's like you just
Congratulations.
hope you never need to unload a dishwasher or a fucking washing and drying machine down there.
If you need a new door in your bathroom, let me know. It might not open.
Oh, God, yeah, it's just
What an idiot.
fucking it's all sorts of fucked. So it took me probably a good solid month to not be pissed off about that.
Well, I remember we were doing dad mods
Oh,
at the
yeah,
time,
and
and you were just salty.
I was
and when you told me about
pissed.
it, I was like, wait, what? Wait, what happened?
I think I think that's a logical reason to be salty, though.
It's dude.
Yeah,
I would
like
be
said,
livid.
If your house, if you guys,
I can't believe you left it that way. I would have taken that door out and put it through their front door.
You know why? Because I've never framed a door in my life until we did the back door with one of my buddies. And so I have no confidence. I'm like, I'm not going to start this project and then have a big, instead of having a wall, now have a big fucking hole to get into the house. Because I feel, as pissed off as I am about that, I feel that's a step backwards.
Yeah, a little bit.
So
I've framed a
is
few
what it
doors.
is.
They are not perfect. It's ironic that most of them squeak, so they might not be perfectly square. I get it.
The one I helped with worked perfectly for like 2 months, and now the deadbolt doesn't latch.
Yeah, you just gotta adjust it.
Yeah, it should just be adjusted. Well, I was like, why have you put the trim back on? I'm like, because I have to adjust the door.
Yeah.
Why don't you adjust the door? Because I'm building a BMW.
We'll spend an afternoon adjusting it. It'll be fine.
yeah. I had shims, and then she wanted a.
Wait, you don't have any shims?
I had shims.
There were shims in the frame, and then you removed them?
No, I did not fucking touch them. Okay, so
Go on.
so we put a door in. Okay, works like it should. There's shims. Perfect. I told her, I'm gonna leave it for like a month. Just make sure that it works like it should. And I don't need, with temperature changes, all that kind of shit.
Settles.
Fine. She's like, hey, I found a St. Bernard I want to get. I'm like, Okay, that's cool. Like
boy.
I'm pro dog. I love dogs.
I'm okay. Go on. I'm pro dog.
Yeah, like okay, that's sweet. Like look at this derpy fucker. Like sure. Like
Yeah.
I've never had a big dog. I love dogs. Awesome. Let's get.
You got a horse. Let's be real.
Like that's cool. I'm like, you let me drop $8,000 on a $2,000 car. Like that's fucking fine. If you want an $800 dog, I'm not gonna bitch about that. That's fine. So we get him, and he's a horse who's a puppy. So we have a 110 pound puppy now that's never been inside. We're trying to teach him all these things and all that shit. And our back entryway is kind of his like timeout room. You know, this is you're overstimulated, or this is where you're gonna feed you. This is your little space because we can't get a kennel for a fucking horse.
Yeah.
So he stays back there, but you know, or just simply like you went out in the rain, you got muddy, you need to dry off. You're hanging out there for an hour. That dumb fucking dog, as much as I love him, that dumb dog ate the shims. he gnawed on them, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, I'll just break them off. And he's like, still somehow got them out, and fucking like they're just not there anymore. So I'm sure if I would have done a little bit of investigating, there's probably some piles of dog shit in the backyard that just have splinters.
Your dog ate door shims.
Just fucking not. Oh, he didn't eat the shoes. He didn't eat the jackets or anything like that back there. He ate the fucking shims.
Wait. So we're talking like your door is framed and there's the gap
There's
around
no
it.
shims on the bottom
and there's
for where the dog can get
shims.
to it.
So for anybody who's framed a door, there are shims that go into the door jamb between the framing and the door jamb itself. So there's a pocket that's usually in there. You've generally got a door frame that's, especially an exterior door, it's 36 inches wide.
Yep.
Your framing space is usually 40 inches end to end. So you need to make it up, or 38. So that's where you have shims and all of that. So you're telling me that this dog ate the wedges. They're basically like wedge-shaped pieces of wood.
Yeah, he gnawed on them and shit. And
so he pulled them out?
he pulled them out in the bottom
my
and fucking
God.
gnawed on them. And I'm just...
Wait, so you didn't put a drill bit through the shims?
No, because it was shifting.
Okay, gotcha.
So our house is like 100, just over 100 years old. And there's the back stairs... I use that term lightly. There's like a probably 4x4 little landing there as soon as you get out the back door. And then they added on a deck. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't know how this is going to settle. I wanted to give it time. The wife's like, why did you trim them down? I'm like, well, because I have to pull them out. I want to be able to get to them.
Right.
I wasn't planning on getting a fucking moose.
Yeah.
And so, so now I have no shims on the bottom. It's on my fucking list, but now it's cold again.
So now the door is tweaked a little bit.
It's
Do you
still-
find that
it's
your
still
back
loud.
entry, does it heave with the frost?
No.
Giggity.
No, because I don't think it really heaves. Like it's
Okay.
just fine.
So then you should, in theory, be able to finish the door.
should be, yeah. So
So the problem with like my back, oh my god, there's just no way to say this without sounding fucking greasy. My back entry heaves when it gets cold out. Yeah, so my back door, well, we've got a mud room. My back entry goes into a mud. Next topic. They don't give a fuck about this anyway.
all right. So long story short, we're putting a podcasting studio in my basement.
Yeah. Wow. Why the fuck did we go on a
That way-
half an hour about that?
So way random strangers can come in my back door and go down to the basement.
Okay. So yes, that's gonna be great. You guys are gonna see that eventually. It might be the new year, a little ways into the new year, because when we film, generally we're a week out.
Yeah, I say New Year for sure by February is my goal.
Yeah.
Just because February is the coldest month.
Well, I like the idea of us aiming for the new year because it's like we got some big things that we've got to do. We've got to do the bus, we've got to do the Ford, but like. That's definitely a priority because there's cost involved with it, and the fact that it's going to go into your basement. The room's already heated.
Yeah.
we've got to heat this space. So it's going to be nice if we can get that set up sooner than later, because then we've already got space that we can work with. We just got like a few small things to tweak. We've got to like make the room, colors and stuff like that, decorate it and whatnot.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is...
So you guys will see a video. We're actually going to film that. We're going to kind of outfit the space, and we'll film a video about setting up a podcasting studio.
Yeah, and the funny thing is between material that you already have, material I already have, and paint and stuff like that, we could probably do this for fairly cheap and fairly easy.
Yeah.
Fairly easy.
Fairly. I still anticipate it being a big pain in the ass, but it'll be great.
We'll see. It'll be awesome.
I'm excited. Like we've never had a sort of dedicated space. This has been great for a while now. I love the character the space has. Bunch of motorcycle helmets, silly.
That's the one thing I'm kind of sad about is we lose all of that.
Yeah, we do lose a bit of this, but like we can still bring a lot of this over to your place.
Great,
too.
more shit sitting in my basement.
Well, I've got some motorcycles I can hang.
That's fine. No, we'll figure it out.
No, we'll do some cool things. We'll probably get some fresh stuff too, just to make the space like unique.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring the dog downstairs and just hang him on the wall.
No. We don't need that dynamic. No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
do you got anything else?
Anything else? I always
Anything
have
else?
something, but no, not this time.
I'm trying to think if we've got anything else to talk about.
Any changes?
Projects. Let's talk a little bit of let's close this thing out by just hashing out
do we
where
have
the
another
project's
half hour?
at.
Well, as far as
What do you got going on?
I don't know. We just
what don't I know?
Every topic we rant for at least half an hour.
Let's be concise with it. Let's spare these people because nobody's still listening.
Okay. For Glenn in New Zealand who is listening, the only project I have going up now that the garage is done, I got a little tidying up on the BMW. I want to get done before Motorhead Madness, which is a car show coming up in March, March 19th and 20th.
Yes.
Hey, I remember the dates.
Yep.
We'll should have a lot of stuff there, actually.
Yeah, we should have a pretty decent group that's going to be
should
showing
be.
with us. Plus,
but-
we'll have a, 40 by 20 space?
Yes.
So we've got a pretty big space.
We'll have a condo down there.
Yeah.
But
we'll be sleeping there.
I
Tents and all.
plan on getting a dash cover and just some little things. I need to, again, look at the brakes, just down the BMW just a little bit more. And now that the garage is lit well and has outlets and all that, I'll focus back on the BMW. That kind of went on the back burner just because salt's on the road. There's no rush. We're not driving it, and wanted to clean up the workspace. So,
Yep.
that's kind of where I'm at with projects. We will be at some point in time starting the wife's bus, not bust. Big difference.
The bus will be at the car show.
I'm gonna start the bus. I might start that tonight, actually.
I mean, that would probably be a pretty good draw. Both women are pretty well endowed. If we could just have the wives there at the car show with the boobies out.
Maybe that's why we haven't made it big yet. We just need the wife to
just flash some titties on the
just
videos.
show some
I mean,
boob.
I would wager that way more people would tune in if we had boobies.
I'd watch our videos.
I would too. Yeah. Both privately and not privately.
But yeah, she has a Volkswagen bus bay window that it's started off as a swap. We bought a house, so it's always just been sitting there, and we're finally going to get to that.
Yep.
Now that we can do a little bit of welding and all that, so that's kind of the project list at my place.
Yeah.
You got some stuff going on though.
I got a
that
few
you want
things.
to get done this winter.
Yeah. So before too long, you guys are going to see a little bit of, I don't know if you call it like an unboxing video or whatever we'll do. So basically, I ordered in a shitload of parts from Bag Riders. So if you don't know who Bag Riders in, you probably aren't my age. So Bag Riders
You're
is
as old as dirt.
yeah. Bag Riders is a company that specializes in air suspension. And the reason I chose them is they're one of those brands that for the most part, everything that they have on their website is kind of the top of the line, air suspension related stuff. And I went with them because I've just like I've always loved like kind of their, I don't know, their style, like the sort of what they bring to the table. It's generally it's a lot of like Euro cars and stuff like that. But the guys, it's not a huge operation, and the dudes like actually they have some pretty cool shit that they themselves as the business owners and the guys who run it have built. So and even talking with one of the guys that works there, he built a shoebox at one point.
Shit.
Yeah, he did a parallel 4-link on the rear end, bagged it and all that stuff. So he literally had like the same car that I do. So it was really cool. We got to talking and whatever. So I ended up buying a bunch of cool shit from them. So I have a full manual air suspension setup. Eventually, I'll probably upgrade it where I've got something a little more active. But to start it off, I really like the idea of like the reliability of a manual bag setup. So I ordered all of that, and I'm going to be doing shockwaves. So for those who don't know, shockwaves are so it's a ride tech product. So if you're familiar with who Ride Tech is, they're comparable to QA1 in that they do air suspension that is super high quality. Like the engineering is fantastic. Really reliable components, and the shockwaves are sort of like if you want to do a pro touring build but still have air suspension, that's what you go with. Really fucking expensive. Really expensive.
Everything for cars is expensive though. Such a dumb
If
hobby.
I told you how much I spent, it's really expensive. But basically the way that the Ford is going to go, I decided like I'm not going to buy another car just for carving corners. The shoebox is going to be getting components, air suspension and all, that are going to be built for turning corners, as well as a manual transmission.
So what you're saying is in the future, the viewers can expect a video where we put the BMW up against the Ford at AutoX.
100%.
I'm going to wax the shit.
You will. Maybe.
My problem is my driving style. I'm too aggressive. I know I'm too aggressive in the corners.
Well, you've got a lot of things going for you. So I'll wrap this up just by saying that the Ford is going to be undergoing some pretty cool changes. We're going to be completely redoing the rear end. It's going to have shockwaves in the back as well. It's going to be a link setup in the back.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this comes along.
It's going to be cool. And I've got our buddy Cody who, we'll have him on the podcast eventually. He's got a G body, so the Monte Carlo, Oldsmobile.
Yep.
His is an Oldsmobile.
He designed his own Aero.
Yeah.
For that car, and it works. It works really well, actually. From what I've been
He
told.
does HPDE, so high performance driving. Like we're talking grid life with a G body. He has driven that car so hard that he has ripped the chassis. He has ripped the body mounts. It's incredible. This guy is so talented. He's a machinist, and he's at the point now where he's actually designing his own control arms and stuff. Just an incredibly talented builder. And I'm so sorry I'm drawing the blank on his YouTube account. We'll share it we'll share it. Cody will eventually be on the podcast anyways. But anyway, so he's sharing a lot of ideas about how we're going to engineer the rear end on the shoebox, because we just have so much, like such a minimal amount of room under there without doing like massive chopping of like floors. And I mean, if you do a triangulated 4-link, you've got to like cut the floor underneath the underneath the rear seat. Like it's really invasive.
Yeah.
But we have some ideas about how we're going to engineer the rear end of this to actually handle really good, in the same way that like a lot of the Camaros and stuff like that do of the early 2000s. So we've got I won't share too much because you'll see the videos eventually. Anyway, it's going to be great. Shoebox is going to be built to actually handle. It'll be a manual transmission. I'm going to do some like different seats in it and stuff. So it should be cool. Like my goal is like I don't want to take a lot of corners with it. It's not built for a track car, but if I feel like I want to do an autocross, if I'm going to take it over to Brian's racetrack, I want to go out there and have a good time and not feel like I'm going to fall out of the freaking door because I got this this bench seat with no bolstering.
Kind of larking around
and tons of body roll and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. We don't really know what to expect, but we're going to try.
I think it's going to be awesome when it's done.
Here's the thing. If you do all of this work and it doesn't handle perfectly, if your idea of being able to take it like around a road course, if you go out there and you go like, this has got too much body roll, or this doesn't feel like quite as good as an E30, then you go, okay, then I guess I'm not going to do that. But it's still,
you learn a lot along the way and still have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's plenty set up for tail dragging and having a good time. Yeah. So it's still engineered beyond that of a airbag classic, basically. So that's my plan. If nothing else, we're gonna engineer this as best as we possibly can, and it's going to be better than a very basic tail dragging low and slow kind of car.
It'll be a blast.
It's gonna be.
I'm really excited to have both vehicles out at AutoX.
How cool would that be? It's gonna be a manual trans too.
I don't know if I'm more excited for that or just people's reaction to seeing you pull up in a shoebox, because you're gonna pull up. And there's gonna be all these 20-something-year-olds in their Miatas and their Civics and their fuck ton of Subarus.
Yeah,
and E36s and all that kind of stuff. And here's a 70-year-old car pulling up.
Yeah, they'll all still be faster. I will own that.
Yeah, but there's gonna be that one guy in an old like 96 Volkswagen. like an 870 or whatever, and you're gonna be quicker than him, or you're gonna be competitive with them at least.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, it's
all about the smiles.
Well, and that's the thing. Like it's fine. Like I'm not looking to be the fastest person out there. If I was trying to be the fastest person, I sure as hell would not be starting with a shoebox.
You would have bought a Miata.
Well, I mean, in truth, yeah, I'd have bought a Miata. I would have saved all of my pennies and bought a BRZ, or I don't know. I mean, you name the modern chassis.
Save you more pennies and just buy a Lotus and be done.
Yeah, and in a lease, like no joke.
Yeah, you just buy an Elise and you're done. You just drive the fuck out of it.
There are better chassis for turning the corners, but it doesn't matter. Like a lot of guys, they seem to think that dick swinging is the point of being into cars, and that's not the case. That's no, it's not.
Fuck, I've been doing this wrong.
Especially with you and I, like it's all about just building what we love.
Oh yeah, just having fun.
And I'm gonna bring this full circle.
Oh,
full circle. We're going back to Magnus Walker.
We're gonna end. Completing an idea and a conversation.
Yep.
No way.
So, in the end, the point is that
it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter. Is this an existential thing?
It's a Linkin Park joke.
Okay. So we are. You in the end, you want to build what you love. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter if you're building a first-gen S10, if you're building a Mark I Volkswagen, if you're building a fucking Ecotech Cobalt. It doesn't matter. If you love it, if you're doing what you're doing, that's the point. That's the whole point of this thing. So when you and I are out there not making the fastest laps in the world, but we're out there like getting all the smiles per gallon, that's the point.
Hell yeah.
That's why we're into cars.
Fucking yeah.
And eventually building an EV car so that we can go race.
Exactly.
And run out of battery juice.
And on that bombshell.
Thank you guys very much for joining us for another episode of the Brews with the Dudes podcast. We'll try and see you next week.
Yeah, I don't plan on getting COVID.
I don't either. So we appreciate your patience. Sorry we didn't have one out for a couple of weeks.
Is what it is.
You know what? We're figuring out, just like we did last year. It was the same bullshit.
Yep, same shit.
Shit. We had a couple of weeks where we just couldn't get one out because of COVID shit.
It happens. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next episode.
Drive safe.
Yeah. Tip your waitress.
Wrap your meat. Bye.
I was trying to follow that up, and I couldn't think of anything.